Happy to meet you. Tony, I know you a little bit, so I hope my
Yes.
English will be fine for the French people, but it's always hard.
Yeah, it's better than doing it in French for me. 'Cause
Yes,
it's going to be hard.
everybody is saying the same thing, so no problem for that. So I prefer to let you introduce yourself because I know you a little bit, but you have more things to say about you than me. So if you can
Yeah, sure.
tell
My
me.
name's Tony. I play under the screen name Teunuss, or most Americans say Teunuss, I guess. Been playing for, I think, about more than half of my life. So it's like 16 years or something. Started out playing heads-up cash games and worked my way up to high stakes there. And then those tables kind of got removed, and I switched to six max. And I've been playing mostly mid stakes for the last for most of my career. Really, I have played some higher stakes. I've also played 1 year of only 10, 20 plus, but it's been a while ago. And right now I play only on GG Poker, a
Yeah.
mix of 2-5 and 5-10. And I've been making run it once videos for, I think, 7 or 8 years, so a pretty long time. So yeah, I think that's where people mostly know me from. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah, but when you have begun poker, what's the tools you have, and how do you progress in poker? Because it was not the same thing than today. Today you have a lot of things to GTO trainer, you have solvers, not very expensive. How do you progress in poker?
Yeah, in the beginning, like I started out also playing in high school, and so of course nobody was really serious about strategy. But when I started playing online, I think I was like 17 or 18 years old, and like the things that I did for strategy was like we had a Skype group of discussing hands, and also that there was like some videos already. I think like Deuce is cracked and stuff like that. And I read some articles and stuff like that. So yeah, it was like a lot harder to improve back then than it is now, of course. Yeah.
And what's the difference with today? Because now you have a lot of experience. So Uh, how do you work today? Your poker, your strategy. Do you improve some little things? Do you work differently from the last year or 2 years? What's exactly
Yeah.
your protocol today?
Um, yeah. So I guess we could go like it's a pretty long story. Like 3 to 4 years ago, I was part of Poker Ambition. Those were three guys who played high stakes, and they got together a group of students, which was like they had two different groups. And the first group, I was part of that group, and was like 7 or 8 guys, I think, all from the Netherlands. And they were already winning mid stakes players. So it was a pretty interesting project because everybody was already a winning player. And of course, the goal was to get to high stakes with those guys. And yeah, I think that project was really successful. And we did how we did the work was every Monday we got together like in a live setting, and then we worked like a full day on one spot. And then the next week we started with some feedback on how that spot went. Like everybody uploaded their hands from that spot. We got over those hands, and then we started on a new spot. And that's how we did, like, I think a course of a full year working like that
Okay.
every Monday, full day. Yeah, it was like, I think a really successful project. A couple of guys really made it to very high stakes, but basically everybody was like playing 5-10, 10-20 at some point. So it was pretty nice experience. And that's where I learned the most effective way. And that's where most of my strategy today is based on all the things that we learned there, basically.
Yeah.
And nowadays, like for the last year, 2 years, the biggest area where I improved was the mental game aspect. So I did a lot of work there. And yeah, now my daily routine, it's more indeed, like you said, it's like working on the little things. And I also kind of know when I'm like doing B game, C game, where I'm in a downswing, I kind of know my leagues where I'm going to fall into, you know? So I try to keep track of those spots where I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to be not playing too great, or I've maybe not played too great. I'm going to check these spots to see if I'm still sharp. And yeah, like working on new things, it's pretty hard for me right now because, like I said, I think we worked on every spot with that group, and yeah, it's more about refreshing, keeping things sharp, and of course, sometimes you still find something new, but it's not like back then when it was really like every week was like, wow, we had something really cool. Now it's more like keeping it fresh, and yeah, I think I've reached kind of my like almost my top level. I think I don't think I can improve much more technical, at least.
And about the mental aspect, you speak about it. What's the side of mental do you try to improve, and what's the leaks in mental you have seen?
Yeah, I think it started out really like trying to observe your own thoughts, and kind of got myself to know quite well in during downswings is where you really can see the mental leaks and where your mind is kind of jumping to. And like I now have a pretty good idea of myself where I'm at if I start out playing, and I use meditation to try and start in the right state of mind, just being very relaxed, focused, and that's how I want to start every day, and then try and keep playing in that state, basically.
Okay, it's very interesting because I have seen a lot of people who are in trouble in poker due to the game. They like poker, but the mental aspect is terrible for them, and most of the time they are losing their mind when they are playing. So yeah, it's an interesting one. And what's today for you the main difference between the winners and losers in poker? Because I have seen many people who have the same mindset, not mindset, but the same way of playing and same background, and you can have a big winner and a big loser at the same time.
Yeah, like it depends. I think if I look at like I'm only playing at GG Poker right now, so I don't have an idea of the last 2 years on other sites. But
Yeah.
like usually a lot of the mid stakes break even players are like they have similar leagues, I would say. Like it may be hard to really find specific things, but in general, like they're on the passive side, and
Okay.
that's the big difference between 2-5 and 5-10. Like at 2-5, there's maybe a handful of guys that are like quite tough to play against, and at 5-10, it's like almost every regular is like quite a bit harder to play against, you know. And at 2-5, it's more like there's a big group of guys where you kind of have like a good idea what they're doing, what they're thinking, and they also just play for rakeback reasons, you know. So they're playing like 12 tables. You know, they will not think very hard about a lot of smaller spots because you know that's hard to do when you're playing 12 tables. But I think the overall passiveness is definitely a thing there at 2-5 still. And even after all these years, it's still such a big difference between those two states.
But you say you are playing on GG Poker, and you are thinking that today in GG Poker we can make money?
I have like over a big sample for big blind win rate at 2-5. So yeah, it's doable. But someone told me under one of my videos that I'm like the only guy with a positive win rate in the top 15 or something.
Yeah.
of high volume players. Of course, there are other winners, but the high volume players, they are usually only making money from rake back. So I'm proud of that aspect, but at 5'10", it's not the same, unfortunately. So yeah, yes, it's doable, but I think it's quite hard because also when you start game selecting very hard, you get a warning. So they don't make it easy, and the rake is just really, really high.
Yeah, no, because that's a big subject about GT Poker and the rake back and how much we can win on this game. But you are only playing on regular tables, and you are very selective, I think, with tables.
No, not too much at 2.5. Like at least if the table is filled with like no big recreational, then I'm going to leave the table.
Right.
But for like starting the tables, playing like a few heads up, I don't mind that. So I'm not the full 100% bum hunter, but
okay.
Yeah, it's when the rake is so high, when you have a table with 5 other guys and there's no 20, 40 big blind loser, then yeah, you basically know that there's not going to be a winner, at that table. So why are we all playing that game? That's kind of the question.
Yeah, and you have coached some players, and what are the leaks you have seen most of the time, and the biggest problems they met?
Yeah, I think the last years, most of the guys, including yourself, like I feel like they have seen a lot of simulations. They've worked with solvers, but they haven't really grabbed and made a strategy from it. Like something constructive where they can just apply that strategy. It's like, yeah, I kind of know that we're supposed to use these sizings, but not really sure exactly why. And then while you play, you're going to be more random than you should be.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that I mostly see when coaching individuals.
Yeah, I see what you mean. What's your advice? Because the main question I have most of the time is for the low stakes people, they are struggling on the low stakes. They didn't succeed to go higher. And what's the main advice you could have for this guy who are ready to work but they don't know how to work and what to do to improve their game?
I think first of all, to if the goal is to move up in stakes as quick as you can, I think you should not be playing Zoom.
Yeah.
So the overall win rates at regular tables are so much higher. I understand that Zoom is like a nice grind. I've played Zoom a ton as well on PokerStars, and it's nice. You can sit out whenever you want. You can quit whenever you want. It's like a very easy, structured way to play. So people are very comfortable playing Zoom, but in reality, there are not many crushers at that game because on average, you will have like a fish for every 15 players or something. It's just not very great. And of course, all the regulars playing multiple entries. So yeah. So if the goal is to move up quickly, I would say start playing regular tables.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that the way that we worked at Poker Ambition, if you could copy that style, like work on one spot at a time, of course, start with the widest ranges, the most frequent spots. Like, it's not very helpful to start with under the gun big blind 3-bet pots, because that's how often do you get into that spot. So of course, all the wide range spots you can do spot by spot, and try and find the solver trends. Don't try to copy it, but try to understand why. There's always if a hand is a full frequency bet or a high frequency bet, there's always reasons why. It's never just a mix, or it has advantages. So trying to understand why, try to see what it accomplishes. I know that word a lot. So I use that word a lot, but that's how I would suggest people to work. And definitely in a group, I think you can always work more effective. I'm actually still doing that today. We still have a small study group. We do one session every week. And it just holds you accountable. and other opinions from other good players always make you think about that spot. And so I think, yeah, that's the best advice. Like form a study group with people that have the same goals and are at the same level. I think is also nice. Like if you play 50-cent dollar and you're going to form a group with 5-10 players, is their advice really going to help you at those stakes, or should you form a group of people similar to you? I think the last option is better. So yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, about the group, many people are saying the same thing in the poker pros. You need a group to improve. So that's very interesting. Just one thing about Zoom. The big problem I think people have is they see that big videos like yours in the past with 5 VB per 100 on the Zoom. So people are thinking that, okay, he did it, I will do it. And I think that's a big mistake because many people are speaking about Zoom, but not on regular tables. So
yeah, like if you have a decent win rate at Zoom, then it's really great to grind it because you can play many hands whenever you want, right? So, but yeah, in reality, not many players have a very big win rate there. So
yeah,
and it's getting worse and worse. I think like definitely had some very big crushers on stars at 2.5, and I believe it doesn't even run that much anymore.
No,
from what I've heard,
on 2.5 it has nobody now.
No, yeah, PokerStars really screwed up, I think.
Yeah, and 200 sometimes during the days there's nobody too. So
yeah, that's crazy because when I last played there, like it was always running,
But DG has killed the game at the moment. We will see the future, but on PokerStars that's a nightmare. And I was thinking about learning today in poker. What's your way of thinking about today to learn between this masterclass, the video site like Run It Once, like Mini One, coaching, CFP? What's for you the best way to learn poker with all these kind of products?
Yeah, it's a tough question because all those things can clearly help you, right?
Yeah.
But I think for like using training sites and videos, like you really need to watch it and actually pay attention, like write down notes and really be engaged to whoever is making the video. I feel like there's also a lot of players that like, yeah, I've watched some of that guy's videos, and like if you would ask them, what did you write anything down? Did you learn anything specific? They're like, no. That's not really helpful if you're gonna watch videos like that. And yeah, solvers, I like GTO Wizard where you can quickly look up something, like you're in there really quickly. But I also dislike a lot of things about that program where if you look at turn and river spots, it's always using 3 or 4 different sizings, and yeah, it's just not. Then it already becomes like not extremely useful. Like when he's using 2/3, 3/4, small overbets, and a big overbet, like yeah, that's then the tree is going to be all messed up basically. But I've heard they're going to launch something new with ruse or something. Ruse, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
then you can take away sizings, which is going to be a big change, I think, for that program. Like that's really massive because that's why I still use BioSolver quite a lot, because you can just structure your own sim with like 1 or 2 sizings, and of course the node lock is really nice too. Like what happens if someone check raises these hands a little bit less? What happens? That those sort of things are, of course, really beneficial. And yeah, CFP, like I've been part of one which was really nice, and I have 0 regrets. But I don't know what options are out there, because we had 3 coaches that were actually proven high stakes players that just wanted to try if they could make a similar amount of money by doing this, while maybe a lot of CFPs are also like semi-retired poker players who like haven't played any hands in the last 2 years. Yeah, like I don't know about that. It could still work, but much harder, I think.
Yeah, there's so many people like that. I have seen so many CFP today. That's crazy. So to do this difference is very hard. And the big question, because I think most of the win rate is about it. It's about fish. How do you distinguish? Yes, I don't know his name in English, but how makes the difference between fish for you and regs in kind of stats? And how do you work your game against the fish?
Yeah, if you would have asked me, like, if there was one specific spot where regulars underappreciate working on it, it would be against recreationals for sure. It's like most of your win rate comes from playing them, and you can actually improve your strategy against them. Like, and it's worth a lot more than working on whatever other spots, you know. Yeah. So, I've done that. It was also part of the CFP actually, and yeah, it's just that's more like data analysis, I think, you know, just seeing where they, like what they do usually. I think the old school strategy was more about like bluff catching them a lot and not really trying to bluff them too much. And now I'm playing like crazy hands against them because I know that their ranges are too wide, so they're overfolding almost everywhere, you know. Yeah. So you have to be crazy aggressive, which sometimes you play really unintuitive, crazy hands, but you know, I know it works. So yeah, like definitely a big part of your strategy should be a pretty extreme strategy against recreationals.
Yeah, and today you are playing only cash game, or do you work on MTT, PLO, other formats?
I don't play any tournaments, like maybe 5 or 10 a year or something like that. Yeah. I might go to Barcelona at the end of August this year. I've played that tournament a couple of times, but yeah, I don't work too much on any MTT stuff. And PLO I've played maybe 100 or 200,000 hands, so I know the game a little bit, but I mostly played it just for like mixing it up, just keeping yourself entertained, but not too serious about that.
And my last question is more about logistic. When I say logistic, I speak about your routine. Do you have a warm-up routine and a cool-down routine? Do you play straight?
Yes, I do have a warm-up routine. So now it's doing a meditation of around 20 minutes. Like I said, the goal is just for me to clear my mind, being very relaxed and trying to like start playing immediately, just thinking about the right things, you know. What I mean by that is that there's no distraction. I'm really just fully engaged into the game. Yeah. And I always have like a small document which says notes and focus points. Yeah. So it can be different things. Like I said, I try to look at my own stats every now and then I just write down some focus points. Like for me, usually it's like a bit over defending in the big blind and stuff like that, you know, just keep it sharp for spots like that. And then I just start playing, and my cool down, I'm actually also working on that right now a little bit, because my cooldown used to be going over hands that I marked, but I talked with my mental coach about it, and it's probably not the greatest cooldown that you can do, because in my mind, I kind of use those marked hands to define if I played well or not, you know? Right. So then maybe it's like 4 hands. If I screwed up 3 of them, I feel like shit. And then I start the next day again, you know? And that's like, is that really how you want to cool down? Like to define how you played by looking at 3 or 4 big hands? Like, probably not, right? Maybe I played really well the whole session, but there were like 3 very difficult spots. Like, so I'm trying to do a different way right now. Just kind of really like going over marked hands. I think can be important, but it should come from like curiosity, right? Like, how did that spot work? Did I do it? Did I do it in the right way? Instead of like, was it a big punt? How did I? Like, it should be curiosity, not going over the hands and see how bad you've done today.
And do you play live cash too, or just online?
No, I've only done like one trip to Vegas, which is like 5 years ago, where I played a full summer. I did kind of enjoy it, but like for me in the Netherlands, it's pretty hard to find any good live games. There's one that I know of that I cannot get in, and other games at the casino are like, it's also like mainly 2-5 high rake, and then of course 2-5 high rake in a live game. You know, hourly is going to be quite bad, so I don't think it's really worth it to play in a casino. And I still enjoy playing online a bit more.
Yeah, more tables.
Yes.
No, so my last question, was about MDA. Do you work a lot on entry note with field analysis? You never did it. I think you have spoken a little bit about poker ambition about it, but now do you work on it or not?
You mean for specific opponents?
No, not specific one. About the field, to have a specific insight about the frequency of the field on the flop, turn, river, and how do they?
No, I have a plan to start working with the program that you actually told me about.
Yeah.
What was the name again?
Mobius Poker.
Yes. Yeah. That looks very interesting. I think that can be quite beneficial. All the data analysis that I've seen, I haven't done myself.
Mm-hmm.
So not too sure about that. I also did like specific opponents a lot when I played on Stars, because I was always starting tables there. So there was a lot of 3 and 4 handed games. Yeah. So then of course you want to really dive into someone specific. You know, you have plenty of hands on the guy. Like, what's he doing? What's he thinking? Where can we attack him? And that worked really well, especially if you can play 3-handed and you have like 3 or 4 leaks in someone's game in high frequency spots. I mean, you're really gonna crush someone, you know? So most of the times back in those days, like 3-4 years ago, I had like a higher win rate playing 3-4 handed than when the table actually filled with recreational. So those were the better days. At GG with the rake, it's not possible, unfortunately.
I'm curious to see what you will do if you begin to analyze the field on GT Poker with this kind of tools, because we have a lot of insight with that. So we'll see. But thanks a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that you can do some pretty extreme stuff. Like,
oh yeah,
I know that they are. It's funny because the most common leak at mid stakes, I think, is that everybody overfolds.
Yeah.
But it's a good leak to have, because a lot of people underbluff. So the good exploit is to overfold. So it's like it kind of goes 2 ways, you know. But you can take advantage of it, of course. But it's good to overfold yourself too.
Yeah, but I was surprised because when I analyze the field, a lot of people are saying something like there's a lot of overstab or things like that, and some kind of lines you could see that it's not true. It's the opposite. So depending on stakes, it's interesting to see the difference, and a lot of exploitation to do on this kind of field. And
sure.
But thanks a lot. I think I just checked, but I told you it was very short. I just want to say one thing. For all the coach and formation and training I have seen, for me you are one of the best I have seen, because everything you are saying is very clear. It's very professional.
Yeah, I try to not be like vague with like
yes,
talking a lot about, oh, this is a mix, that is the mix. I'm just trying to really talk people through how I actually play, you know.
Honestly, a coach with a specific topic, with some lot of stuff and a lot of work. I don't have seen many coach with that and many information. So thanks a lot, and
Thanks.
I think we will talk very soon, Wednesday, I think.
Yes, true. Okay.
So have a nice day, and thanks for everything.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.